hasn't even started yet. In fact, it's still more than 2 weeks away, but the Islanders are already dealing with an important injury. We'll talk about it and relax. It isn't that serious, so hopefully everything will be okay. We also have a preview of Saturday's game against the New Jersey Devils, and we have a look at Aatu Raty, the Islanders' top pick in this year's draft. We'll talk about what he looked like in training camp and in the preseason, all on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. So glad you could be with us today as we talk all New York Islanders. And, I am excited. They were showing some inside photos of what the UBS Arena looks like. And if you check out the Islanders official website, it's all there. I'm excited. I mean, we're still about 6 weeks away from the home opener, but we're getting close. And wow, really looks nice. We saw what the Islanders locker room looks like and a few other things. And man, it's getting close. It's getting close, so good news right there, and we will, of course, keep following up on that throughout the preseason up until really the home opener, which is in mid-November. We've got a lot to discuss on today's show, some injury updates because, unfortunately, the Islanders are dealing with some injuries, including an important player who may not be ready for the start of the regular season, but the injury is not considered serious. We'll talk about Aatu Raty, the Islanders' top pick in this year's draft, second round. He was, let go from camp today. That was expected, but we'll talk about how he looked and what his experience meant to the Islanders organization later on in today's show. I want to thank you for being a part of the Locked On Islanders family and for making Locked On Islanders your first listen of the day. It is always great to talk New York Islanders with you. If you've got something Islanders related on your mind, you have a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like us to talk about, feel free to email the show. The email address, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. You could also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYRVSNYI, and we'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings throughout the preseason, the rest of camp, all the way through to the regular season. And boy, this is a big year for the New York Islanders. Wanted to start off with a little bit of injuries, and it is, not great news, not his, is that still have not seen the ice, and Barry Trotz addressed that on Thursday at practice. And at this point, Trotz doesn't seem to be all in play. Is it something major? No, it's not, but it's nagging. They're not yet saying that he will be unavailable on October 14th. The season weeks away, basically. But Trotz, also Varlamov, is not by that. So look, right now, they're not telling us much, okay? I really dislike the fact that the NHL goes out its way to hide injuries, the lower body injury. Time I was body injury, I was just so glad his Varlamov is a concern. This time in the end of September, early October, or even miss, let's say the first few games season, rather than not have when we're in the drive and playoffs and another long off run. So in this situation, and I think it is concentrate on plays along slowly. We're seeing the same thing apparently. Martin was on the ice with the younger player situation. It was season opener, so it's still up in the air. We're waiting to hear what the situation is going to be, but the Islanders are being cautious. And here's another takeaway from the caution that we're seeing the Islanders exercise right now in this situation. The New York Islanders have a lot of faith in Ilya Sorokin, and quite honestly, I think they should. Sorokin has already won a championship in the KHL. He had a very good rookie season. Quite honestly, should have gotten a little bit more mention for the Calder Trophy. I'm not saying he should have been a finalist, but I think he came in 15th in the Calder voting. Playing goal, not an easy position. And, I think the fact that he didn't start the majority or even half of his team's games sort of, dissuaded voters from really considering him. And as we talked about on yesterday's show, a lot of experts tend to dismiss the Islanders' strong goaltending because of the system being a defense-first system. But realistically, the Islanders have a lot of faith in Ilya Sorokin, in what he can do, and I think that that's a good thing. And if the Islanders have to start the season with Sorokin and fill in with Corey Schneider as the backup, look, Sorokin is, he carried the Islanders through that first round of the playoffs against Pittsburgh. We know he's capable. We know he can get the job done. And as far as Schneider is concerned, he looked good in the first preseason game. He is a goaltender with a lot of experience and a proven NHL goalie. At this stage in his career, is he an elite NHL goalie? No. Is he as good as Semyon Varlamov? No. But little doubt in my mind that he could serve as the backup to Ilya Sorokin for a week, 2 weeks, even a month if need be. Play one game a week, let's say, for that time period. Give Sorokin a little bit of a breather, play in back-to-back games, etc., and have the Islanders be all set when Semyon Varlamov is ready to return. Now, we're going to keep an eye on the situation. Obviously, there will be updates, but right now, the report out of Islanders camp, Ilya, that Semyon Varlamov has body soreness, nothing major, but the hope is that he will be ready to go, won't be a big long-term thing, but he may or may not, we don't know yet, be ready for the season opener in 2 weeks. We will keep you up to date on all the latest news concerning Varlamov, Matt Martin, and any other injured Islanders. We've got a lot more to discuss on this episode. We'll talk about Aatu Raty. The Islanders sent him away from camp, which was very much expected, but we'll talk about his impact, what he showed in camp, some of the things he needs to work on. We've got that, and we've got our Islanders birthday of the day. A current Islander is actually going to be today's birthday of the day. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more still to come on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at Bet Online. We're back and better than ever, and all eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back for another football season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With a new updated interface and even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. And don't forget to use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From football, basketball, boxing, hockey, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, so go to BetOnline where the game starts. So the Islanders made a number as far as, lowering in training camp. But Aatu Raty, who was the Islanders' top pick in this year's draft in the second round, the 18-year-old from Finland, he really made a good first impression. Here's what Barry Trotz had to say. I've been extremely impressed with player to this point. He's quite mature, has lots of game, high hockey IQ. He reminds me of a Zach Parise type player. He's got really good motor, always around the net, very intelligent, wins his puck battles, has really good hands. What a great pick by our scouts. Personally, there's certain kids that you get really excited with when they show up at camp. A lot of times we get a kid at camp, we get excited and we go, he has this hole and this hole, but we're going to have to work on this. But there's not many holes in his game, really. Oh, look, Raty has been involved. He's got good size, 6'2". Right now, only 185 pounds, but he's strong. You figure 6'2", he could probably go up to 190, 195, maybe even 200 by the time he gets a little bit more mature. But despite only being 185 at 6'2", Raty showed both strength and the ability to go to the net. And, he saw time on the power play in the first preseason game against the Rangers, skated on a line with Uncle Leo and Kiefer Bellows, even blocked 2 shots in that game. And in the second preseason game he played in, he was on a line with Anthony Beauvillier and Kyle Palmieri. So they're trying him with different players, and they're liking what they see. And one of the things they really like, and we mentioned his strength, but Raty also goes to the net and also wins puck battles. Both of the regulation goals that the Islanders scored in the Flyers game, Raty was going to the net. And, that was definitely a positive. Now, he didn't figure in the scoring necessarily, but he's going to the net, screening the goalie, getting in position for rebounds, and that is great. And again, Trotz continues. One of the things when you're a competitive guy is that when there's a puck battle, that's where the game is won. Can you win more puck battles? Can you get the puck out when you're under duress? Can you make a play when you're under duress? And that's one thing that Raty seems to excel at. That's the North American NHL version. It's easy to be really good on the rush with time and space. It's hard to be good in tight spaces. So again, overall, you got to like what you saw from Raty playing on the power play both times, getting shots, making hits, and, took the body to make a play. And that, to me, is also very important. So a good first impression right here by Raty. And here's what Anthony Beauvillier added. Really good player, understands the play very well, always in good position, a lot of skills, and a lot of poise. It's kind of rare to see a young guy have that much poise, especially in his first 2 preseason games in the NHL. Really enjoyed playing with him. He made a lot of good plays, and that was definitely noticeable. So he heads back to Finland to play there, which is exactly what was expected. Don't think that, the Islanders having him leave camp and return to Finland is sort of like, oh, well, I guess he's not going to be that good or he didn't live up to expectations. No, nothing like that. This was the plan all along. This is what the Islanders had in mind. And the first impression that Raty made, very good. And, I think another important takeaway that you get from the first 2 games that he played in and the training camp time that he had, Raty is used to being in big game situations. He has represented Finland at the World Juniors. He has played well there when called upon. It's not like he said, oh my gosh, I'm coming to an NHL training camp. What do I do now? How do I handle this situation? He is poised. He does handle pressure well. And that, to me, is a very positive sign. And look, he's not going to play for the Islanders this year. But would I be surprised at all if next year he battles for a position in training camp? No, I wouldn't be. And whether he ends up staying in Finland for another year, that's always a possibility. Starting the 2022-2023 season in Bridgeport, or he makes the Islanders next year out of training camp. All of those are distinct possibilities, and we have to see, how this ends up playing out. But for a first impression, for 2 preseason games, he was physical. He went to the net. He played on the power play. He wasn't afraid to dig out pucks in the corners. He was responsible in his own end. Barry Trotz is happy. I think Lou Lamoriello is going to be happy. And he made a good first impression on his teammates, which is really what you want from a draft pick who is only going to be in camp, for 2 games, 3 games, a week of practices. But this is good news for the Islanders. And again, Lou Lamoriello and the scouting staff here, he's traded away first-round picks, but he may very have gotten first-round value when picking Raty, who was considered a first-round prospect until he had a little slump last season and his stock fell a little bit. So as of now, at least, it looks like this is a good value. Got our Islanders' birthday of the day and a lot more still to come. And remember, it's a current player who, at least in my mind, is getting more and more popular with fans. And I think that's a good thing. This episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Do you know that Built Bar has so many delicious flavors? That's why they are the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. There really is something for everyone. And when you talk to a Built Bar fan, they're definitely passionate about their favorites. And why not? Listen to these flavors: mint brownie, strawberry, German chocolate, cherry barcia, coconut. My personal favorite, salted caramel. Sweet and salty at the same time. Can't beat it. And if you haven't tried all the flavors, you can get a mixed box where they'll send you 2 of each of the 9 flavors so you can figure out which ones you want to order a complete box of. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, they're healthy too. Check out the macros. Each bar has 17 to 18 grams of protein, only 130 to 180 calories, just 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Built Bar is also the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. Go to Built.com and use the promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day, and we're a day early on this one, Saturday, October 2nd. The second birthday for Islanders forward Josh Bailey. I believe Bales has been with the Islanders organization since 2008 when they drafted him with the 9th overall pick in the first round of that year's NHL. And I'll tell you, I remember Bales first arrived at Islanders camp, barely shaved at that point, looked so made the team that first year, and that was a controversial thing because a lot of PLT could have benefited from a year in the minors, but he played 6 games that rookie year, 7 goals, 25 points. Never became the goal scorer that, many fans expected because he was drafted 9th overall. But look, 2017, 2018 was his best statistical season where he had 71 points in 76 games, 53 of those coming on assists. He is very smart with the puck, has excellent vision, feeds his teammates well. Bailey sees opportunities that other players wouldn't even consider attempting. So you got to give him credit. So far, Josh Bailey, 919 games played, all with the Islanders, 162 goals, 511 points, 233 penalty minutes. And one of the things I love about Bales, he consistently over the last 3 seasons has raised the caliber of play in the playoffs. Look at these numbers. 2018, 2019, 8 games, 6 points. 2019, 2020, 22 games, 20 points, including 18 assists. And then this past year, 19 games, 13 points. Josh Bailey plays his best hockey when the most is at stake. And I think that is just an excellent thing to have in a player. We're going to go back and look at one of his great playoff performances, April 10th, 2019 at the Nassau Coliseum. Islanders in their first playoff game of that year, hosting the Pittsburgh Penguins. And for the Penguins, it was Matt Murray in goal. Robin Lehner got the start for the Islanders. And it was Jordan Eberle getting the Islanders on the board. His first of the playoffs from Anders Lee and Adam Pelech, just a minute 40 into the game. Islanders off to a quick 1-0 lead. Phil Kessel answered for Pittsburgh 4 minutes and 2 seconds later, his first in the playoffs from Dominic Simon and Brian Demoulian. Then the Islanders get a power play chance when Marcus Pettersson heads off for tripping at 15:21, and 25 seconds later, Brock Nelson cashes in his first in the playoffs. Jordan Eberle and Devon Taves with the assist. After 20 minutes, Islanders up 2-1. But the Penguins power play answers back in the second period. Ryan Pulock off for interference. Evgeny Malkin, his first. Justin Schultz and Phil Kessel. That was the only goal of the second period. 2-2 after 2. In the third, the Islanders go ahead. Nick Leddy, his first from Valtteri Filppula. And Uncle Leo at 12:35. Looked like the Islanders were going to win it 3-2. But with 1:29 left in regulation, Justin Schultz ties it for Pittsburgh. Chris Letang and Malkin with the helpers. We go to overtime, but in the extra session, who gets the game winner? Our Islanders' birthday of the day, Josh Bailey, his first. Matt Barzal, the only assist. Islanders win their first ever playoff game under Barry Trotz, 4-3, and they went on to sweep that series from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And what a great series that was, where after this game, the Penguins only scored 1 goal in each of the remaining 3 games. So a game-winning overtime playoff winner for Josh Bailey. Bales is our Islanders' birthday of the day, and we wish him a very happy 32nd birthday and many happy more, and hopefully he remains an Islander and continued productive member of this next several years. Islanders have 1 game this weekend. It's at Bridgeport, taking on the New Jersey Devils, 2:00 Saturday afternoon. Again, we'll probably see Ilokin play part of that game, and maybe Snyder as well, but we will keep you up that's happening with regard to that game. And on Monday, when we come back, we'll have all the key takeaways and analysis of how that game went, plus all the latest news and happenings from Islanders camp. So all of that today. Betting on the Islanders doesn't have to be a guessing game. You listen to the new Locked On Bets podcast. It's hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling. Get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favored picks, and Lee Sterling's lock of the day. Follow the Locked On Bets podcast, brought to you by betonline.ag, wherever you get podcasts. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen of a. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Hey, happy October. This is the month that regular season NHL game. That's another reason to be excited. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.